Resilience is not about avoiding storms, but learning how to dance in the rain. Hello and welcome to this brand new episode of Newsmakers, the show where we bring to you spectacular personalities and their success stories from various walks of life. Because at Newsmakers, we aspire to inspire you. My dear lovely audience, I'm your host Simran, and our guest today is someone who has defied every odd, be it its ill health, academic hurdles, corporate politics, so on and so forth. He is an entrepreneur and he is also a financial strategist. Please allow me to welcome Mr. Guru Sowle on the sets of Newsmakers. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Guru.
Thank you, Simran, and thanks for having me on the show.
Mr. Guru, I want to start from the beginning. You weren't born into privilege, nor did you take the conventional academic route. You had to actually fight for your place in a top college, not because of your marks, but because of your sheer talent. Now, I would like to know your entire journey so far.
Let me step back to my school days. And in the school, the focus is all on studies, and you grow up where parents keep telling you, look, education is your only asset and you really need to do well. But I was kind of consumed by all my distractions in the school. And instead of studying, I focused on cultural activities. So a significant part of my high school was devoted to debating, elocution, acting, quiz competitions, and name any activity other than studies, I used to be there, right? And I had no clue that I was sacrificing education for all these exciting activities, which could happen anytime in your life. And when you have to study, you got to study, right? I didn't do that. And then I get the results of my 10th grade. And obviously, it can't be great. It was disappointing, to say the least. I realized that I couldn't get admission to even an ordinary college. And in my family, education was, divine. It was like everything. I knew I let my parents down, and I overheard my parents, expressing their disappointment about my performance, and they had expectations from me, and rightly so. And I didn't want to let them down. And at the same time, I also realized that it was a big blunder I committed, not preparing for 10th grade exams and taking it casually. Whether it was age or whether it was the pull of all the cultural world and the excitement I had in other activities, the bottom line is I was at a crossroads. I didn't know what to do. And that sheer instinct to survive and do better told me something. I just went to the best college in Hyderabad. I went on a bike 10 kilometers, walked into the principal's room. And this is a college which was like prestigious Loyola College. I'm sure many people in India know about it. It is impossible to get admission there unless you're a top performer. You got to be in the top 50, top 100 in the state or at least in the district to get in there. And I go there with no academic credentials. Walked into principal's room. I said, it was a Christian missionary. And I told father I need a seat. And he was smiling at me. He said, on what basis are you asking for a seat? And then I told him, look, this was my limited knowledge at the age of 15, right? So I told him, look, in many colleges, there's sports quota, there's NCC quota, there's defense quota. But for cultural activities, there's no quota. And for some reason, I did not study and it's my fault. But I'm looking for one opportunity to change my academic track. And I know I don't deserve a seat here. Can you make an exception and give me a seat? So he said, okay, so you did a lot of acting, it looks like. show me your acting talent. And I was like, how do I do that in principal's room and so many other people are waiting outside his room to meet him? He said, close the door if you like and do your mono action. And in the principal's room, I performed a 20-minute mono action of a very well-known character, Alluri Sitaramaraju in Andhra Pradesh. And I was stunned that this principal had the extraordinary sense of empathy and understanding to hear out a 15-year-old boy who had not done well in the school but yet wanted the best college and a seat in the best college. He looked at my mono act. He said, well done, have your seat. And the moment he said, have your seat, my confidence went up. And I was so happy because I'd never sat in a principal's room. And to me, that was like a game changer. I didn't know what it meant, but I just sat and I was very comfortable. And he said, look, I'm going to make an exception. Come on Monday, bring your dad and pay your fee. And he gave me the admission letter. And that was a turning point. That was my opportunity to look at life differently. When I thought all doors were closed, this window was open. And the irony is, I didn't know this window was open. To me, I had only two things in my mind. I didn't want to let down my parents, and I wanted the best college, despite not having performed. You know, they say you got to deserve before you desire. What I did is the reverse. I desired, and then I made myself to deserve in some way or the other. And this principle, if he's watching this podcast, Joseph C. Nelapathy, I thank him eternally in my lifetime. And he made the admission, and I got in there. And of course, the journey from there was very difficult, challenging, because I had to catch up with the best of academic brains, and it was not easy, but I had my opportunity that came to me.
What a great learning from your journey that you desired and you deserved. Now, my second question is, we all know that life is never smooth for anyone. We all have our share of struggles. Was there ever a moment when you thought, this is unfair? Why do I have to struggle so much? Why me?
Simran, I had a goal right from my childhood. I think even from my middle school, somehow I always was ambitious. I had a goal. I wanted to be, in several places. I wanted to be on All India Radio. I wanted to be on Doordarshan. I achieved all that in school. Okay, but after all that excitement, when I got this turning point by virtue of this admission in the college, I had a goal, and I knew it wouldn't be easy. Okay? I also told myself I took my academic preparation very easy my entire school life. So this was my time to go through the struggle. Okay, to me, struggle was more of a reinforcement for a larger goal than the struggle itself. I'm not saying it was easy, because whenever you're going through a struggle, you're always telling yourself, why me, right? But I had to learn math, I had to learn science, I had to learn complex, variables, etc., because I did not study for 10 years properly. So I had to go back and prepare. It was 10 times harder than any other student for me to catch up with the best of students in the state at that time. So it was a hard journey. And I also told myself that, unless you struggle, there's no achievement. And to survive and to achieve your goal, there's no other way but to struggle. And I embraced the struggle. I didn't complain. It wasn't easy, but I didn't complain. I said, look, if I'm struggling, it is because I did not do something right yesterday. So let me do something right today. And that was the struggle which defined my journey, and I enjoyed it.
Mr. Guru, we also know that you had a major health issue, which was like you had anemia, and doctors were not able to diagnose it also. Now, this must be a very terrifying thing for you to survive. Now, was it like living in, uncertainty? How was it like for you?
Yeah, that was another turning point, which I did not expect. And I did very well moving on from science and math. In the college, I did quite well. On the last day of my exam, final year exam of BCom, I thought I had earned freedom and I was graduating. I thought the next 10 years would be on a song, enjoy youth, and I had all the dreams of any young kid at the age of 20, right? The day I finished the exam, I had to go to the physician because I was feeling very weak. And he saw my eyes and he said, "You don't have blood." And I didn't realize what it meant. And I asked him, "What do you mean by that?" He said, "Have you looked at your eyes?" I said, "No." He said, "You're very pale, you don't have blood. You need to go for lab tests immediately." And he asked me, "What are you going to do? You just finished your graduation." I said, "I've got admission in chartered accountancy with the best firm in India, A. Ferguson's." And I was actually so happy about it. And he said, "I'm not sure if you can pursue that course because you seem to be very sick." And I told him, "Look, I have 2 months to start, so maybe I can recover by then." Little did I know that this would become a 10-year journey, not a 2-month journey. And, usually the hemoglobin levels for a normal male is about 12 to 17. I was diagnosed to be, I was, figured out to be anemic, not diagnosed. And my anemia level when I met the doctor was 4. So he said, "This is critical. You need a blood transfusion immediately." So that's where my medical journey began. And in the toughest of circumstances, I had to start my CA, and that too with the best firm in India. And you know how the CA training is. It's like 10, 12 hours of work, and then you study, and literally a 15, 16-hour a day schedule every day. And doctor advised me not to take the CA course. But I was determined because I wanted to achieve that. And again, it was all about me wanting something badly. I went after it, whether I was prepared, whether I was capable, whether I deserved or whatever it is. If I had a goal, I was just going after it. And they put me on blood transfusions and iron infusions. Several other tests kept happening. I kept hopping between hospital to hospital and doctor to doctor. They could not diagnose as to why I was anemic. It took them about 8 to 10 years to figure that out. And it had manifested into 2, 3 forms of challenge for me. One was physical challenge. So even to walk a kilometer, I used to pause for every quarter kilometer. I used to stop to manage my palpitations, right? Secondly, there was also a cultural challenge because I was in a very elite firm. I was auditing multinational companies and I was looking pale and yellow, and I was literally looking like a walking stick. And my colleagues at that time couldn't even understand why I was so different. And many of them used to make fun of me. I don't complain because they didn't know what I was going through. And that had a huge impact on my psychological adjustment to that change in class, in profession. When you're doing CA at Ferguson's, when you're moving around with leaders of multinational companies, they expect a certain degree of body language, confidence, etc. Probably I did not have at that time, but I had the academic credentials to be there, and I was there. And I put my foot down. I said, "Now I want to do this." My manager, in fact, one day called me and he told me, "Look, this is not for you. You quit CA and leave Ferguson's." And all odds were against me, Simran. And I told my manager, "Look, I'm not giving up. I'm doing my job. I'm going to work hard. I'll get through this." And medical journey, cultural journey, psychological journey, and politics at workplace, All these put together were too complex, but I somehow went through. I'm glad I told the manager I'm not quitting. And I did become a chartered accountant, and I got my training completed at A. Ferguson's. And that took me to the next part of my life. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. There was a physical, psychological, cultural issue. And I also realized that once you come out of your college, once you come out of your university, you're in a real world. There it is just not your academic credentials. It is your personality. It's your ability to get along with people. It's your ability to manage your peers, subordinates, bosses effectively. That really defines so-called success, right? So that was my story at that time.
That's really commendable. Now, looking back at your records, we also know that you were a great debater in school and college. Now, how was that your first taste of fighting for what you believed in? How was it for you?
That's a great question, and I think you're being very kind to tell me that I was a great debater. I was not sure. I'm not sure if I was a great debater. I gave my first speech when I was in seventh grade in in school in front of 300 people. I don't know whether you all are aware of it. Probably you people are not even born. This was on Indira Gandhi's 20-point economic program. And I rattled out the 20 points in front of 300 people. The entire 10 minutes I was trembling. I couldn't stand there, but I had to complete the speech. And I didn't want to face the humiliation of not completing the speech. I trembled, finished it, I ran home. I didn't look at anyone else. And next morning I come to school, I realized that I won the first prize. And that was so, interesting. I thought I had completely messed up. I felt humiliated myself. Nobody told me anything. It was all in my mind. When I came back to the school, it was a success story. Then I realized that debating was my cup of tea. And I started enjoying doing that. I did some more debates in school, represented school in inter-school competitions, went to state level. I started enjoying it. At that time, to me, debate was more like playing cricket. We were talking about topics like, I remember one of the topics, fast development of technology landed us in cultural crisis. Now, I had to speak on this topic at ninth grade, and my maturity level was only limited at that time. I don't know what I spoke, but I won the prize. And that made me happy. But when I moved to college, we had a literary organization called Benjamin Franklin Memorial Club. And we used to be called as Bens. This club was named after that great personality, Benjamin Franklin, in the US, who represented versatile personality, and he was our benchmark. In this club, we used to go debate and quiz every weekend. Saturday, Sunday used to be spent in debating, quizzing, table topic sessions, jam sessions. We used to invite guest speakers, very well known guest speakers. Back then, captain of Indian cricket team, union law minister, chief justice of Supreme Court. Those are the judges, those are the guests we used to invite when we were kids. And that gave us a huge exposure. Not only that, the collection of people there, they were all so very bright. They were all gold medalists, and most of them are super successful today. And many of them are who's who of this world today. I was so lucky and blessed to be in that company. And thanks to Benjamin Franklin Club, and of course, support from my parents, that I could pursue these activities while I was studying, which which kind of shaped me to be an all-round individual and not be a bookworm. It also prepared us, to lead and believe in ourselves. That yeah, you can do it. And that was a time when there was no internet, no technology. We had to go to library, which was 15 kilometers away, even to read a book. And we used to do that religiously. I'm not saying I'm an exception. I think everyone in that generation did it. But the passion with which we did it, because of that ecosystem in the club, I must tell you that club is still there in Hyderabad. And I hope many of the Bens will see this podcast, and I'd like to thank all of them.
Well done. Well, very well said. Now, uh, we see that, here we see a lot of people who are in the corporate structure, and we also know that the corporate world is literally, we call it as brutal. No, it's filled with politics, it's filled with closed doors, and a system that often favors the privileged ones. Now, how did you navigate that? Was there a moment when you realized you had to outthink, not outfight?
Thank you for bringing it up, Simran. I think this is an important dimension of most of our lives, even today. When there are two individuals, there is politics. It happens at all levels, right? Whether it's corporate world, whether it's a non-profit world, whether it's a political world, obviously there's politics. In games, in movies, in all walks of life, there is politics. Okay? After going through my struggles in getting to where I wanted to be, I realized one thing. You're spending most of your quality time in your life at your workplace. And your workplace has to be as congenial or even better than home, because that's where you're expected to produce results, make impact, and when you do better at work, you're doing better for your family. And if you're happy at work, you're happy when you go home. So to me, I realized that workplace has to be a happy place. So that defined my approach to work. So whether I was a subordinate or a peer or a boss, obviously I've been through all these roles multiple times. My idea was to promote peace, harmony, be easygoing, have fun at work, make work a fun place so everyone's looking forward on Monday morning to get to work. And even today I do that. And that kind of took away the negativity of politics, or took away or mitigated the impact of politics. In every job in every company I worked with, every job I worked for, I could mitigate the impact of politics. See, what happens is when people are happy, your productivity is more. Okay? You can be assertive, you can be expecting people to perform on deadlines, etc., etc. But you could do it in a very nice way. You really don't have to create a military playbook kind of style in corporate life just so that you lead by instilling fear and you're not leading by inspiring, right? So you lead by inspiring. You be happy, you let others be happy. Things happen. We achieved spectacular results when I had my teams, the teams I was working with, happy go lucky. We enjoyed our lives, work hard, party hard. We had no problem. We really did extremely well in our consulting life. It was because I could kind of, just because of who I am, it's not that I had a great strategy to be that way. It is just me internally who I was, which transformed into a better environment at workplace. And I've not changed. I'm still the same. Wherever I'm working today, I tell my colleagues the same thing. Look, I want our workplace to be a happy place. And that kind of neutralized politics for me. Of course, we've all been through political situations. You got to handle it. It is reality that there are challenges. There's no perfect environment. You can only do your best to handle imperfect environment. You can be yourself and insulate yourself as much as possible. Right. So I didn't have to outthink it, nor did I have to outfight it. I just came from a very different direction of just being happy at workplace. And I think it worked. It's still working. So I'm happy. Yeah.
Mr. Guru, you've been an entrepreneur for so many years now. And we also know that entrepreneurship is totally a glorified statement these days. And you have seen like both your highs and lows during your entrepreneurship. Now, what's that one reality check you would like to give to all the aspiring business leaders who are watching you right now?
Success is celebrated in entrepreneurship. And it's great. Nothing succeeds like success. Right? My message to entrepreneurs is identify if you're failing, fail fast. Because we have very limited resources in terms of time and money. And it's also a cultural issue. And people, when they start their own enterprise, they get very emotional about it. So taking the emotion away from investing in your own enterprise is extremely important. You've got to be practical whether you like it or not to make sure that you're identifying failure as much as you want to succeed. And when you know that it's not working, put a full stop there. There are many other things that you can do because you're an entrepreneur, because you're capable, you're versatile, you're creative, and you have the drive, you have the passion. Transform all those positive virtues to something else which works. But don't let failure dominate your entrepreneurship journey. Nip it in the bud, move on.
Very well said. Nip it in the bud and move on. And we all know that life has to move on. Mr. Guru, you've had many important moments in your professional journey. But there is a most important moment was meeting the Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the year 2023. Now this was a special one. How was your experience? And I really want to know, how did you feel that moment?
Absolutely, Simran. Meeting Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi was a magical moment for me. This was the first time I was meeting Prime Minister, head of a state. It was surreal. I couldn't believe that I was sitting with a global leader and Prime Minister of a nation which is on the way to become the third largest economy in the world. When I went in, I was not sure how it would be. I wasn't even sure if I would be able to muster up courage and speak to him. He made it so comfortable. As soon as I entered the hall, he was standing there for a photo op. And this is exactly what he said. "Eh, Guru, aajao, kaise hai aap?" It was like an elder in the family welcoming you when you go to their house. And there ended my apprehensions, my inhibitions. He gave me a big hug, and I wanted to present him a book from our think tank. I'll talk to you about it in a bit. And आपको बुक देना है ना, चलो दे दो, फोटो लेंगे अभी. And he gave me a tight hug, held me, and he took the photograph. It was best moment in my life. Little did I know that a head of a nation, Prime Minister of India, can be so down to earth, speaks volumes about his leadership, his ability to relate to people and make them comfortable. And that was magical. I don't have any other words to express that. As soon as we finished that photo op, they asked me to take a seat next to the Prime Minister, which was followed by a 1-hour discussion on international affairs. And prior to that, I had met Jaishankar ji and Ajit Doval ji for 1 hour. And when I met Jaishankar, who's another global leader today, I was so excited. I said, "Can we take a picture?" He said, "Yeah, let's take a selfie." Then I told Jaishankar, "Look, I'm not good at selfie." And then he said, "Don't tell the Prime Minister that because he's very good at taking selfies." So, so I said, "No, I won't tell him that, but just you." So between us, and we took pictures, and they were all so relatable. They really wanted to understand how India's position in the corridors of power in the US. This was in 2023, of course, much before Trump 2.0, which just started. And we spoke about emerging opportunities, how India can be a major power in manufacturing. And I did share with the Prime Minister that, look, India has been always a services provider, but this is a time for India to be a global leader in manufacturing, and US is looking forward to India to become that strategic partner. I'm going to share with you a very important message Prime Minister gave me. He said, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि भारत, India is the best brand, but we are trying to make India a better brand day by day. He was so humble in saying that. And he said two things. He said, India has got the greatest population of youth entering the workforce in the next 10 to 15 years. More than 200 million people in the age range of 25 to 40 or whatever it is are going to enter the workforce. This asset no other country has. Secondly, he said, women, Indian women, are perhaps so well placed in the world to lead and to partner with countries like USA. So he said, in whatever initiatives you're creating from the US for India, he said, encourage and involve youth and involve women. And Simran, hats off to all women and all the youth. I completely agree with that message that Prime Minister shared. This world is so much better with the women and youth participating in all our ventures, and we're actually consciously incorporating those advice and those suggestions from the Prime Minister in many of our initiatives, and I can talk to you offline about it in detail.
I am so sure it would have been such a great moment for you meeting the Prime Minister, the Honorable Narendra Modi ji. He's such a great man and so many learnings that you've had from him. Now, we also know that there is an actor in you and that you also acted in a film. Coming in from a financial sector and then acting, they actually don't go parallelly so well. They are two different worlds. Now, how did this happen? If given a chance, if he would ask you that you have to pick between business or cinema, tell us which one is that which truly excites you.
I would say business or films. And the silver screen is always attractive, right? I know I have a friend in Bangalore who's a well-known director. He was shooting a movie in Paris, and he called me and he said, "Can you come for 2 weeks to Paris and we're shooting a movie? I'll give you a role." I really wish I could take that. I was so drawn into that, but I was so busy with my work in the US, I couldn't go. But yeah, attraction is there, but it's not practical to be there for all the shootings. But yes, I did enjoy that. A couple of movies I did thanks to my Bollywood and Kannada film industry friends who gave me that break just to experience the big screen.
Now, this is my last question to you, Mr. Guru. We've heard your story and what amazing story that you've had all through your life. Your story is just not about success. No, it's about resilience, reinvention, and the power of belief. Now, if there is one takeaway you want our listeners to remember, please tell us what would it be?
See, this world is full of opportunity. and giving up is very easy. Having faith in yourself, invariably, everything that you see succeeding in the world happens because somebody has self belief. Despite all odds, I think that self belief is very, very important. And come what may, just believe in yourself and believe in God. There is a supernatural force, whatever the concept of God may be to each person, that will take you to your destination.
What a wonderful takeaway, to believe in yourself and believe in God. That will take you to your destination. Now, with this, we have come to an end to this episode. Thank you so very much, Mr. Guru, for being a part of our show called The Newsmakers.
Thank you, Simran. I enjoyed talking as much as you did with you.
And thank you so very much to all the audience for sending in all your love. This is Simran signing off, but I promise that I will be back with our next guest super soon. So stay blessed and stay happy.